Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, a joyous Festivus to one and all. What do I plan on using my Cybertruck for? I would say non-truck things almost exclusively. You know, driving around and looking so good while doing it. Steve is going to use his Cybertruck to show off his obscene wealth. Question for you guys. How many shares you got? And what'd you buy in at? What's your average share price? I tell you, man, when the price went down in 2019, I simply could not help but buy in. And I told everyone how proud I was, how excited I was to have gotten in when I did. And yeah, I did have a friend who said I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. And I was like, well, I follow it more closely, so I guess I am more comfortable. Do I see a stock split in 2022? Absolutely yes. There are a lot of traditional brokerages that do not do fractional shares. And if the share price was, under 100 or 2, and I'd like to see a 10-for-1 split, at least. I don't know if we'll get that, but I really would like a 10-for-1 split. So I absolutely see a stock split. It'll make for a lot easier entry point for most investors. No idea what I'm going to do with it, as I don't spend money. Yeah, it would be a perfectly ridiculous vehicle that I have no use for, apart from the fact that it seats 6, and I need 6 seats. But in Elon world, 2 weeks is great. It's also the amount of time it takes to get your ass to Mars. It's great. What else do I own? Arkimoto. They make the little 3-wheel fun utility vehicle. I am waiting to see if their factory comes online as expected, and then I will make a decision on whether or not to sell that. I own Palantir, which I am not pleased with myself on. It's the one stock I bought without knowing enough about the company. I don't know if that would have changed my decision. It's kind of a meme stock, and I've taken a bit of a bath on it. I own Triple Q, the Invesco S&P 500 index fund, which I'm only in because it's safe and easy. I own ARK-K, which is kind of like a Tesla tracking stock. Yeah, so I own Tesla, the index fund, which includes Tesla, and the mutual fund, which also includes Tesla. 5-for-1 or 10-for-1 split would be great. What price would trigger a split? No price. There's no rhyme or reason to it anymore. So I would say it's just something that people have been asking for, and I think it would improve the odds of people being able to buy into the stock. Sorry if you covered this, but you have Q4 sales predictions. They are coming up. They are coming up. And yes, I do. They're mostly done. I already do a bit of towing. I would do more towing with the Cybertruck because it would be cheaper. More RVing maybe, and possibly do a couple more side jobs with the trailer. Holiday update. Good stuff. The light show. Bit silly, bit pointless, but, it's not like that part of the software team was necessarily doing something else. I would put on the music, but I've been warned by others that that will incur a copyright strike, which I would prefer to avoid. There was an interesting Reddit thread where someone claimed to work for another car company, and they saw this, and they said, we need to know, give us a feasibility, can we do this with our cars? And it was nothing but obstacles. Legal would have to have a say in it. The parts manufacturers for things like the LED bulbs and the light bulbs and everything would need to revalidate this particular use case. They're just not nimble. They're not agile. And this, to me, is a good example of what Tesla can do that other companies struggle to, which is little things on the fly. You remember there was a tweet asking for dog mode, and it rolled out very quickly, like in a week or two. That's something that the legacy guys would really struggle with. Do I see the stock price going below 1,000 again, or is that long gone? So I don't like to do stock predictions because that's not in my wheelhouse. That's not my area of expertise. So I don't think we'll see 1,000 again, but I've been wrong in the past. I didn't think we'd see below 900 again after we hit 1,200, and boy, did we. The market can be irrational, and I think a lot of Tesla's growth is priced in. I think if there was a massive recall, like a massive one, like a real recall, that would absolutely hurt. If some serious objections and delays came up in Berlin, that might bring the price down. There are a lot of factors that can have that effect. Who is this said, I should probably become a patron at this point. Hey, awesome. If you would like to do that, that would be very much appreciated. Which, by the way, I am rolling out my 11-year production estimate tracker in the coming days for those of you at the $10 level and above who sign up this month, and it'll be $25 a month for those who sign up or upgrade next month. So pretty cool. And what is the function of phase 2? Mark, Mark, would you believe that's the next topic? What will phase 2 house at Austin Gigafactory? When will Model 3 have structural battery pack and cast front and rear ends? The phase 2 that we're aware of is the cathode building. The battery, the cathode building, not the battery building. All the steel is there. They graded it months ago, like 6 months ago. The steel has to be ordered so far in advance, so it's just kind of sitting there waiting for it to go. So not production of vehicles, production of components. A theory I heard that I think is plausible is that the delay is because there was supposed to be the Piedmont deal from the East Coast where they were going to be getting lithium from there. And due to, I believe, environmental objections, that deal may have died. It's definitely on hold. So you can get lithium from many different sources, but depending what you get it from, you need to process it in a different way. Are you getting it from water? Are you getting it from carbonate? What are you getting it from? That determines what kind of building to build. So if the source of lithium has changed, the entire plan for the building may have changed as well. I think that might be the delay. There's also the building to the west of the highway. And Joe and Brad, and maybe Brian Rashetsky, at least two of them, I believe Brad Sloan and Joe Tatmeyer, have both heard from construction workers and from homeowners who were given notifications that that was going to be an office building. But with Tesla, everything is up in the air. When will Model 3 have structural battery pack? Later. Later, because they've got so many orders for the long range, which they can handle with LFP batteries, that I don't think structural is in the cards for it at this time. And once everything starts switching over to 4680s, there's going to be an abundance of 2170s coming out of Giga Nevada. Might as well keep using them. And they do a great job. And when will the Model 3 have a structural, have a cast front and rear end? I have a theory on that too. Part of my 11-year tracker assumes that once Giga Texas comes online, they will begin renovating Fremont, which will result in a production dip for a bit, and then higher production thereafter. And I believe it is at that time that the single casting front and rear would be put in, and that would be that. How many Walmarts in phase 2? I did the math at one point. I'm not sure. It depends on what we're counting as phase 2. But we also don't know how many floors it's going to be. So that's tough. I do not know the answer. Can you help me understand how big a risk the Austin ramp will be? I watched a video about the Gigapress with a materials science PhD, and he said it will be incredibly hard to ramp. I think that's a fascinating video, and I will look that up later because that sounds like something I would absolutely watch. I don't think it'll be difficult. They're already using a single rear casting, I think front and rear casting, in Shanghai. So we know it works. They just got to get it configured. I did see some concerning pieces of scrap in a recent video, I think by Joe, where it looked like they just kind of bubbled out into the mold. So I don't know. But they have stockpiled so many front and rear assemblies in the building. We've seen pictures of them, just thousands of them. But to finish that up, Matt, well, I don't think there's a big risk of the Austin ramp. It may not ramp quite as quickly as Giga Shanghai, but it may ramp quicker because it is a version 2 or 3.0 factory. It is a new iteration. And the ramp for Model Y in Shanghai was very efficient. I believe it will mirror that. So I am not worried about that at all. When will Cybertruck assembly line start being built? I don't know. I know there's a lot of people who are saying that they're very frustrated. They were just sure that the Cybertruck was going to come in 2022. I made a prediction video for all things Tesla for this year. Last New Year's Eve, I think. And one of my predictions was that there would be 0 Cybertruck deliveries in 2022. So we'll see. But I did also predict the Model Q would be unveiled, and that definitely hasn't happened. So it's a good question. Over 1 million Cybertruck orders. I think some will move on to other EV trucks. No one wants to wait for years. I can agree with the frustration. I know there are a lot of people who put in orders for several different trucks and will literally take the first one that they can get, but not 2, not 3. So, but I don't think Tesla's super worried about that. I think the demand will be ample to satisfy as much production as they can possibly make in the first 2 years, even if it's not great. But it looks like that's on hold because they've graded the area. It looks like that is going to be the loading and logistics lot. And they're finishing the walls on the southern end. So I think that's on hold, but it is permitted. Merry Christmas to you, Ray Johnson. They've been using gigapresses in Fremont and Shanghai for a year or so already. I think they've already ran the major bugs out of the process. It does seem so. If you look at the scrap in Fremont, it's very low. It's a very low percentage. And I'm confident we will see the same out of Texas. The equipment appears to be the same. Do we know when Fremont will have the MCU3 with the Ryzen chip? No, we do not. We do not. Do you think we might see a 6-wheel drive Cybertruck based on the Semi? Ooh. And do it with 2 different motors on the back and call it the Cybertruck XL? I don't. I think the volume would be too low to justify such a substantial redesign, because that would be quite a different truck. I've seen renders. It looks intimidating. Do you have any guesses on new Fremont output after updating? Of course I do. But we haven't gotten to that yet. And that's a couple years out, so I would have to dig into the numbers to see. But yes, I have absolutely done that. What do I think the dual motor will cost at launch, and when do you think it will start being delivered? Well, the dual motor price was announced with the launch. I think the pricing will look about like that, maybe a little higher, maybe $5,000 higher. The quad motor is the one that I'm curious about, and I'm thinking that's going to be $99,999. That's what I think. Maybe $99,420. Yeah, that's what I think. Matt loves the channel. Agree with the fact that Babylon Bee got an interview with Elon and their questions were milquetoast. Yeah, so that was a 3-part interview review that I was going to do. And after a number of violent, hostile attacks that I had to delete, I went ahead and decided I'm shelving the next 2 installments. The video didn't perform well. Most of the people who came in, an unusually high number of people came in from searches with Babylon Bee in the title. These are not regulars. I had probably so many people saying, I'm going to unsubscribe. And I checked the stats, like 6 people did, which is pretty normal for a video on a channel this size. When I talk about insurance, I get 6 or 7 unsubscribes. When I talk about Lucid, 6 or 7 unsubscribes. When I do a factory update, 6 or 7 unsubscribes. Normal, part of the process. But the threats and whatnot were beyond the pale, and I don't have time for that. That's ridiculous. People were thinking that I was attacking Elon, or attacking religion, or attacking certain politicians. I never said anything about religion, or politicians, or politics, so I'm not sure where these scary, violent wackadoos are coming from, but I'm not going to play around with it and find out. So, yeah, my criticism is that those were terrible questions. Terrible questions. That's why on Twitter I was saying Jordan Giesecke needs to be the next interview, because those questions will be fantastic. The best interviews Elon's done was with Sandy Monroe and Everyday Astronaut. Because those guys know their business, and they are not afraid to ask the hard, real, good questions, and you end up with new insights that you just weren't going to get otherwise. Yeah. The only questionable progress I see going forward is Berlin. I would just vacate and triple China. It would be up and running before any German approval. Boy, I tell you, if I'd have run the math tracker on Berlin, it would have been wildly inaccurate, because I would have grossly underestimated the bureaucracy. Now, I understand they are moving ahead quicker than usual, because Tesla is kind of a proof of concept for foreign investments in manufacturing in Germany. With that said, they gotta get their approvals in. You know, if you've got all the paperwork, get the approvals done. Does anybody catch up to Tesla's production? Kyle, that's a great question. Yes. I believe Volkswagen will, because Volkswagen has the factories. I think they have the leadership. We know they're building battery plants. They've got all the pieces. And in Europe, they've got a very strong market, especially in Germany, which is one of the top 5 car markets in the world. And there is local loyalty that goes into it too. I think Volkswagen could catch up with Tesla. Could. There are no definites in catching up. A Chinese company might make a good run at it, but they're all so far behind. And Tesla's, it amazes me to see the ways in which Tesla does not rest. And that is where the condensed version ends. If you want to see the full Q&A, which is about another 20 minutes, I think, follow the link in the description, or who knows, maybe I remember to put it in the corner, and check it out. Thank you guys so much. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I just can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the other side.